I no longer wish to encounter your presence. My newfound dream home deserves to be free from any undesirable elements, so please vacate immediately. Huh, what? Yes, I cannot endure residing with such a disreputable woman. My name is Bella, and I am 32 years old. I was formerly married to Dylan, who was 5 years my junior, but this only became an issue recently. I first met Dylan at a gathering hosted by my friend Janice. Janice and Dylan were workout buddies. Dylan, a handsome young man with a well-defined jawline and a robust physique, exuded charm and a jovial demeanor. At that time, I was single, and Janice was eager to set me up with someone. She introduced me to every eligible man at the party, leading to my introduction to Dylan. Hey Dylan, meet my geeky millionaire friend Bella. Janice, stop embarrassing me. Don't be embarrassed, it's a compliment. I blushed and thanked Janice, who suggested she could have included beauty with brains in my introduction. Well, you're right. She is indeed a beauty with brains. Now you both have a good time, and I'll attend to the other guests. After Janice left, Dylan inquired about why Janice referred to me as a geeky. I smiled and explained that I'm an engineer working for a software company, keeping me occupied most of the time and earning me the nickname Geeky. That's awesome. You must have a handsome salary making you a millionaire geeky. I burst into laughter. Yeah, you could say that. We spent the evening conversing and getting to know each other better. I discovered Dylan to be incredibly sweet and irresistible. Following that, we began meeting outside for coffee and dinner. Dylan even started picking me up from work to maximize our time together, as he worked as an assistant in a small company. After a few months of dating, Dylan proposed to me. While I loved him, I felt it was too early to make such a significant decision, especially considering that Dylan was 3 years younger than me. I expressed my concerns to him, questioning the sincerity of his proposal. Dylan reassured me, stating that we had been going out for a while, and time shouldn't be a determining factor. During our conversation, he challenged the traditional notion that the husband should be older than the wife, suggesting that such beliefs were outdated. Despite his assurances, I couldn't shake off the societal expectations and stereotypes regarding age differences in relationships. Eventually, Dylan convinced me that our love would lead to a happy marriage. We introduced each other to our parents, and while my father, Jeffrey, remained silent but content, my mother privately expressed concerns about our financial compatibility. Assuring my mother that we had discussed finances, I downplayed the income disparity between Dylan and me. She warned me about the ego men might have regarding financial success, but I defended Dylan, highlighting his willingness to share household responsibilities due to my demanding work schedule. This conversation made me realize that I had never discussed finances with Dylan or inquired about his salary. Although I was financially independent and not interested in his money, it dawned on me that he had asked about my salary even before proposing. Despite initial worries, I chose to overlook this detail. Excitement filled me as we embarked on our married life, and our honeymoon trip to Hawaii, sponsored by my company, was a delightful start. We embraced the joy of living together fully. However, after a month of marital bliss, Dylan sat me down after dinner and requested a favor. My apologies for bringing this up, but I find myself in a difficult situation and could use your assistance. Is everything okay with you, Dylan? Unfortunately, no. My parents are facing some challenges. They currently reside in a second-floor apartment without an elevator, and as they age, climbing the stairs has become increasingly challenging for them. I sympathize with their situation. Have you considered moving them to a ground-floor house or an apartment with an elevator? I suggested that, but Dylan dismissed the idea, expressing his desire to build a house for them. I was taken aback by this revelation. Building a house can be quite expensive. Are you financially prepared for such an undertaking, or are you considering taking out a loan? Dylan hesitated for a moment before admitting that he was contemplating asking me to lend him the money for the construction. I was caught off guard by this unexpected request. I cautiously pointed out the significant amount involved and expressed uncertainty about extending such a substantial loan. Dylan, seemingly frustrated, insisted that it shouldn't be a problem for me given my stable income. However, I remained unsure about committing to such a substantial financial arrangement. I didn't know how to refuse, so I suggested taking some time to think it over. Dylan agreed, expressing his anticipation of my decision. That night, I pondered the wisdom of lending my entire savings to Dylan for the construction of a house for his parents. I had diligently worked to accumulate this money, intending to secure my own home and a peaceful retirement. The following morning, as I headed to the office, Dylan hugged me and reminded me that he awaited my decision, proposing a discussion during the upcoming weekend, as he was running late. I found myself in a difficult situation and felt uncertain about what to do. Seeking guidance, I discussed the matter with a colleague who suggested that I formalize the arrangement by creating an official contract and having Dylan sign it to ensure he repays the borrowed money. This seemed like a prudent idea, preventing potential issues down the line. Upon returning home, I informed Dylan that I could lend him the money, but he would be required to repay me within 2 years. Surprisingly, Dylan agreed to the terms. I emphasized the need for him to sign official documents, making it clear that I could take legal action if he defaulted. To my surprise, Dylan burst into laughter at the suggestion. Unfazed, I assured him of my seriousness and presented the papers. After giving me a skeptical look, he reluctantly agreed and signed the documents. Despite completing the transaction, I still harbored reservations about lending money, especially considering Dylan's limited salary. Following this, Dylan's behavior became peculiar. He started arriving home late and neglected household responsibilities. When confronted, he dismissed my concerns, attributing his actions to work-related busyness. Gradually, my affection for Dylan waned. During weekends, he was often absent, overseeing the construction of his new house. At times, he claimed to stay at his parents' place to care for them. Growing suspicious, I could no longer tolerate the frustration and decided to confront Dylan. Dylan, you've been acting strangely and essentially living as a parasite in this house. What's going on? In response, Dylan became defensive, accusing me of using harsh words. He argued that I had been living off his income since we married and had not contributed financially or helped with household chores. When I questioned his low earnings, he casually replied, "You knew I was earning low when we got married. Why did you marry me?" His response left me shocked and confused. "Excuse me? I'm not in the mood for an argument right now. I'm looking forward to the housewarming party Mom is organizing at our new dream house tomorrow." Dylan said this with a tone that seemed to mock me, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Dylan hadn't even informed me that the house was already completed, and they were planning a housewarming party. Frustrated, I confronted him, yelling about how he built the house with my money, and didn't bother to let me know about its completion or the upcoming party his mother was organizing without even inviting me. Casually, Dylan responded, "Oh, my bad. I must have forgotten. Please be our guest," before leaving the house humming as if nothing happened. My anger surged, and I felt the urge to break everything in front of me. However, I managed to calm myself after some time. A couple of hours later, I received a call from my mother-in-law. She informed me about the housewarming party at their new house the next day. While I didn't say much on the call, I hung up feeling certain that Dylan had prompted her to invite me. Her lack of previous invitations and general disapproval towards me made me skeptical. Initially, I had no desire to attend the party due to the recent events. However, I reconsidered, thinking that if I didn't go, Dylan and his mother might spread rumors about me being jealous of their new house. Reluctantly, I decided to put on a fake smile and attend for a brief period. Upon arriving, I noticed the house entrance adorned with flowers, and Dylan and his mom were greeting guests. As I entered, my mother-in-law expressed surprise that I came, questioning my attendance. Dylan intervened, telling me to get inside. I entered and encountered my father-in-law sitting alone. Despite the strained atmosphere, he greeted me warmly, holding my hand and thanking me for the financial contribution, a rare, genuine moment amid the strained situation. I felt a sense of contentment when I lent the money, despite Dylan and his mother never expressing gratitude for my assistance. Throughout the event, both Dylan and his mother displayed indifference towards me. I spent my time engaging in half-hearted conversations with distant relatives, eagerly anticipating the event's conclusion to escape the toxic atmosphere. As soon as the guests departed, I approached my father-in-law to bid farewell. However, before leaving, my mother-in-law interjected, dismissing my concern for her husband's well-being due to my alleged inability to care for my spouse. Confused, I questioned her accusations, defending myself against claims of neglecting household chores and relying on Dylan for assistance. She insisted I should be grateful for his tolerance, accusing me of mistreating him. When my father-in-law attempted to mediate, Teresa persisted in criticizing me. I was taken aback when she accused me of mentally torturing Dylan for money, citing a signed agreement. In disbelief, I denied such actions. Despite my father-in-law's attempt to stop Teresa's unwarranted behavior, she continued berating me, even insulting my appearance. Frustrated, I lost my composure and shouted back, questioning how she could speak to me in such a manner. Dylan intervened, chastising me for raising my voice in front of his mother, conveniently overlooking her earlier verbal abuse. Feeling fed up, I expressed my displeasure with their mistreatment and declared my refusal to endure it any longer. I asserted my desire to leave, unwilling to tolerate disrespect in my new dream house. What? I refuse to continue living with a woman of such low character. You've been relying on my income all this time and now you dare to label me as trash? You're pathetic, Bella. Let's make this clear. You knew you could never attract a man of my caliber given your age and below-average looks. That's why you married me, despite my modest earnings. So don't complain about the money now. My face reddened with anger as I felt deceived in this marriage. I shouted at him, expressing my inability to endure life with such a shallow person. I demanded a divorce and the return of my money. Dylan responded with an evil laugh, taunting my desire for a divorce. He insisted that if I wanted to end the marriage, I would have to pay him. Unveiling his malicious side, he revealed that he had accessed our joint bank locker a month ago, taking away the crucial documents. Feeling numb, I left the place, unable to bear the insults and disdain. I headed straight to the bank where I discovered the missing papers from the locker. The bank logs revealed that Dylan had accessed it, as we had a joint account. This joint account, created after our wedding to save money, had only seen my contributions. Checking my wardrobe, I realized that even the copy of the document stored there was missing. It dawned on me how Dylan had deceitfully orchestrated this marriage. He had shown interest in me at Janice's party solely because of my high salary. Living comfortably on my earnings, he had emotionally manipulated me into lending him money for his own house, only to later cast me out. To make matters worse, he had stolen the agreement paper, leaving me powerless to reclaim my money. Despite being tricked in various ways, I managed to retain the original papers, determined to seek justice. Gradually, I began to sense that Dylan would betray me. Acting on my instincts, I secured the original documents at my parents' house and kept copies in both the bank and my wardrobe. Despite enduring pain and insults, I was relieved that I had followed my gut, getting the paper signed by Dylan and keeping it beyond his reach. I called my mom and recounted the entire incident. Enraged, she expressed a desire to sue Dylan and his mother for tormenting me. Surprisingly, she admitted that she wasn't shocked, sensing that Dylan was merely pretending to be in love with me. I questioned her about his intentions, and she revealed her suspicions, noting how hastily the wedding took place despite our limited acquaintance. Reflecting on this, I acknowledged that I should have been more cautious. I confessed to lying about discussing finances with him, realizing I had never delved into his salary because money wasn't a priority. Taking this as a valuable lesson, my mom advised me not to trust others too quickly. Empowered by her support, I hired a lawyer and dispatched divorce papers, accompanied by an official notice demanding repayment within 2 years. Failure to comply would result in the court selling off Dylan's property to recover the owed amount. Dylan and his mother were blindsided when the divorce papers and the money notice reached them. Desperate calls ensued, but I ignored and blocked their numbers. Even Dylan's attempts to contact my parents were met with silence. In a last-ditch effort, Dylan left a voicemail on my office number, apologizing and professing his love. He pleaded for forgiveness, blaming his actions on his mother's influence, expressing hope that I would consider taking him back. Dylan had consistently manipulated my emotions to further his malicious schemes, but this time I took a decisive step by deleting and blocking his contact. Despite his attempt to negotiate through his lawyer, urging me to reduce the owed amount by 60%, citing financial constraints, I remained steadfast and ignored the request. After enduring insults and personal attacks, there was no way I would forgive or waive off my rightfully owed money. Over the following 2 years, Dylan struggled to accumulate only 60% of the debt, resorting to loans as his salary fell short. Hindered by a low income, he had to sell the very house he had once thrown me out of, facing the consequences of his actions. Janice informed me that Dylan had returned to live with his parents in their old apartment. The revelation of the truth led the neighborhood to ostracize them, with Teresa tormenting Dylan and Adam for their financial struggles. Dylan faced criticism at his workplace, prompting him to quit and relocate to a different city. Adam, too, abandoned Teresa, opting to live with his brother in the countryside. Teresa found employment as a nanny to sustain herself. I harbored no sympathy for Dylan or Teresa, believing they deserved the repercussions. On the contrary, I took solace in the knowledge that Adam could now enjoy a peaceful retirement. In my own life, I've been in a relationship with Ronald for a year. He's a 38-year-old colleague whom I've known for many years, although our connection only turned romantic a year after my divorce. Initially from a different team at the office, Ronald and I developed an affinity for each other's company after interacting at an office party. This time, I'm proceeding with caution, taking my time to thoroughly analyze our relationship before making any decisions.